guys, this is Courtney from Cosmic Clarity Astrology, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about the Leo full moon happening on February 12th. So when we have a full moon, it means that the sun is in that sign, which is Leo, the moon is in that sign in Leo, and then the sun is in Aquarius, opposite it, illuminating the moon. Full moons are often times of culminations, realizations, and things bubbling up to the visible surface. The last new moon that we had previously was the Aquarius new moon, and I feel like this is sort of a continuation or a storyline from that period of time. So Aquarius is a lot about the people and the people coming together and the people standing up for things. And also during that time was Mars squaring Chiron, and that's still happening during this full moon. And we are still having the sun in Aquarius. So there is still this energy of people coming together, of people kind of supporting the underdog and also airing out their issues with things, as well as the Mars square Chiron can also be very physical in terms of health. So many of us may have experienced certain health scares or issues going on with that, with people in our lives. So I think that there's going to be, again, a continuation of this theme, except now we have the moon in Leo, which is a lot more about the self within the context of our community or our network. So there is still this energy of kind of wanting to carve out what's our own and rebel and fight against the things that feel very restrictive or holding us back in some way. And we can really see that emphasized with this full moon squaring Uranus. And I did pull the horse card. This really feels like the energy of this full moon, where horses, they want to feel free, they want to run, they want to have their mane flowing in the wind. So there's something here about wanting to have movement, progress, spaciousness, freedom, choice. That is very much what Aquarius wants, and a full moon squaring Uranus wants that as well. So again, I feel like that was a sort of a theme already in that Aquarius new moon, and it's coming up in a more personal way with the moon now being in Leo, and the same theme still continuing. So it's almost like we ask ourselves, okay, we've looked at kind of the collective scale with things, but how does this affect me personally? How do I need to shine my light personally? And if some situation is confining in some type of way, how can I now reflect on myself as an individual and be a little bit more clear on what my boundaries are or what I will and won't accept? Things of that nature. And I say that because, the last new moon, Venus was in Pisces, which again is a lot more collectively focused, a lot more compassionate towards the collective or towards others. Whereas in this full moon, Venus has moved into Aries. So there's this distinct shift where, again, we are wanting to maybe still fight back with certain confines in our life. Maybe we'll have certain tumultuous situations happen with the people or with the government as a result of this full moon squaring Uranus. And people with Venus and Aries are not as compassionate. They're not as prone to come together and support one another. Venus and Aries wants a little bit more of individual freedom and will fight for it, especially again with this full moon squaring Uranus. So if there's something in your life that you felt really constricted by, if you feel stuck in, or if you want to find some kind of way out of it or some type of solution, even if this is not in your personal life, but if it's on the collective scale, like maybe if you're from the US and you're not happy with what's been going on, regardless, whatever your situation, this full moon is about finding some kind of solution or truth, or taking some type of stand in order to protect yourself, your boundaries, and what you are passionate about. Leo is a creative sign, and it lives from the heart. And it very much has this kind of fiery, energy to supplement it. So if there's something that you need to use a little bit more kind of force with or fire with in order to make something happen, in order to move something, or to get clear around the direction with something, or to make a certain decision or set a boundary in the environment, then this full moon is your opportunity to be able to do that. Leo is also very creative. So if you guys are needing some type of outlet for some internal tension going on right now, then looking for a creative outlet is really positive for you. So this could be as simple as consuming something like watching a movie, or you could be in actual form of creation. Like I just started playing piano, or you could draw, or whatever it is that interests you. So that's always recommended, to be thinking about the kind of energy you want to bring to the world, what you want to create, but also using that as well as a coping mechanism when the world itself becomes a little bit tough. So ultimately, again, I feel like this full moon is just a time of a lot of kind of standing up for what you want, breaking free from restrictive energies in your life as well as in the collective. It could also be a time of forgiveness, because we do still have Mars retrograding in Cancer, and at this full moon, it's making a trine to Saturn in Pisces. So Mars in Cancer is already a little bit more reflective on things that have already happened on the past. And with this trine to Saturn, it's almost like it's kind of, many of us might be coming to terms with something that has already happened and having to process it. And again, maybe this involves other people, with Saturn being in Pisces, where we might need to have some type of process of letting something go or forgiving something, moving on from something. That might not be applicable to everyone, but it feels like there's something in the past that we need to tie up all the loose ends with and make peace with it in a good place emotionally, in order for things to move forward in the way that we desire. Because again, this is a fire full moon, and it's square Uranus. So there's a lot of like rebellious and unexpected behavior that people can have. People can kind of lash out, with Venus moving into Aries. Again, this can lead to every man for himself type of energy. Although I don't necessarily see that with the sun in Aquarius, but I just feel like there's going to be very clear boundaries and people stating what they believe is right and fighting for that. So there's a lot of that fire going on, but then we still do have a very strong Neptune on the North Node in Pisces, and again, Saturn in Pisces. So there is still a softening happening here that can alleviate some of the tension of the fire moon. And so I think that there is this kind of ultimate state of trust that we're still being called to step into with Neptune on the North Node. And we are in the phase of not really knowing how everything is going to land. We are maybe taking some kind of stand or trying to shift something in our life on a radical level, shift a timeline, move faster through something, or exit something. And there's going to be a lot of unknowns in that process. So part of the advice with Neptune on the North Node is to lean into the unknown, lean into trusting and having faith, because a lot can shift in a very short amount of time. So I think that's what I wanted to cover for this. Let's go ahead and dive into what this is going to look like for all of the rising and sun signs. And if this resonates, let me know in the comments down below. All right, up first we have Aries rising and sun. For you guys, this Leo full moon is happening in your 5th house, and it's making a tight square to Uranus in your 2nd house. So a number of messages from this. Full moon in the 5th house, it can definitely illustrate some issues going on with your children. If you have children, I'll skip past this if you don't, but if you have children, this full moon squaring Uranus in the 2nd can show them acting maybe a little bit out of character, or issues going on with them that are unexpected in some type of way. And maybe they're a little bit more, again, rebellious, or maybe something happens to them, or something's going on in their life that is, again, unusual or unexpected. And ultimately, with this full moon, this is a time where we're kind of meant to be getting really clear on our, what we're wanting in our life, especially for you guys with this Leo in the 5th house. The 5th house is meant to be the house of joy and of things that inspire us and make us feel confident, make us feel alive, and have this kind of connection with our existence, basically. But there might be something that's getting in the way of that. With this full moon squaring Uranus in the 2nd, there could be something in regards to your financial situation, or the place that you live, or something in regards to your current priorities, or even your own confidence, that is getting in the way of you really feeling good in your own skin, and maybe even taking advantage of certain opportunities in your life that could feel really expansive for you because of this, potential for self-doubt. And if this is talking about a romantic relationship, I could also see that coming into play, because the fifth house is often associated with the house of romance. It doesn't just have to be that. It could be, hobbies and things that make your life feel romantic or romanticized on their own, but it could also be coming from another person. So it's kind of up to you how this relates. But the full moon squaring Uranus is saying that there's something here where I feel like you guys are meant to feel a little bit more like juicy and alive, a little bit more excited about the things that are happening for you. But with the Queen of Wands in reverse, there's something here going on where you guys might be like a little bit blocking your blessings through the energy of self-doubt. Maybe you feel a little bit burnt out, maybe you feel a little bit overwhelmed, and maybe it's hard to connect to that kind of feeling of being alive or doing the things that you normally love to do to uplift yourself. There's just something going on here where I feel like maybe you've been, especially with Saturn in your 12th, maybe you have felt a little bit overextended. Maybe things, especially with Mars, your planetary ruler, retrograde as well, trining Mars. Maybe there's just some issues in your life that I feel like are kind of making themselves known right now, or maybe you're just a little bit more depleted and having to kind of reflect on certain elements of how you operate in your life. So there's just something going on here where I feel like you want to feel really alive and connected, and maybe there's some opportunities for that. But with the Queen of Wands in reverse, I feel like there's a little bit of disconnect somehow. Like you are saying no to it, or maybe there's a feeling of again, being too tired to do it, or maybe you're not confident enough to take some leap forward to do it. There's something going on here that, and this could be applied to dating as well. Like if you're single and you're interested in somebody, it's almost like, yes, there's maybe some opportunities out there, but I'm kind of closed off in a way. I'm not feeling as excited or as open as I could be. Part of your advice here is a stingray and the bee. There's something here where I think you just need to get really clear on your role in something. So maybe you guys might need to have better boundaries with some area of your life. With Venus moving into your sign, this is a time when you are really attractive and really abundant in certain ways, but then you have to be clear around where the perimeters for things are. What are you going to prioritize? What are you going to value? What are you going to say yes to, no to? And that also goes for working with others and relationships with others. Where are your specific roles? Where are your specific boundaries going to be in this dynamic? Because some of you guys, it's going to look different for everybody. Some of you guys could be talking about interpersonal relationships and needing boundaries. Some of you guys might need boundaries with work in your personal life or work in your playtime. But there's just something going on here where I feel like you're not as alive as you could be because of certain restrictions in your life that might be practical in nature or might be related to your confidence levels. If it's practical in nature, there could be some changes that you could make to your financial life that may allow you more freedom to pursue and connect with some of these more kind of exciting elements of your life, like having more time for your friends or more time for travel or more time for dating or your hobbies, because of maybe a shift in priorities with work or some type of different way of spending money. Just something about this where it's like, I can go about this differently in order to create more aliveness in my day-to-day life. And I can see with the world and the Three of Cups, I feel like you guys are entering into a different phase within relationships. It's going to really depend on each individual, but there's something here of like graduating or moving on to the next level of something, or pursuing different kinds of relationships, or you've learned some type of lesson when it comes to the people in your life. But there's just something here, it's like, I feel like you guys have had some, again, graduation. And if it's not about relationships, there could be some type of achievement that you guys are having now. And sometimes even a full moon like this squaring Uranus in second could represent random money coming to you. There's something that you have graduated or you have achieved or that you are celebrating right now because you've come to some type of peak with it. Because the Three of Cups is really that kind of celebratory energy. But again, there's still something going on here with the past, because even though you have Venus in your sign, which can bring you that energy of celebration and connection and evolution of relationships, even though that is going on, which is very positive, you do still have this Mars retrograde in your 4th house, trining Saturn in the 12th. And I just feel like there's something going on here, either in regards to your family or something that has already happened, that I feel like you need to maybe process and be clear around the situation, around how you feel around it, and maybe kind of clean up your emotions around it with the She Who Forgives, remorse, guilt, and forgiveness. Some of you guys might need to forgive another person. Maybe you need to ask for forgiveness, or just emotionally like cleaning it up, like making it pure in the sense that you're not holding a resentment, you're not festering about something, you don't leave something unspoken, you're clearing the air. And in that way, it's also allowing you to connect more to this kind of liveliness, because it will remove some of the emotional baggage of holding on to something from the past. So that is what I see for you, Aries. If that resonates, I love to know in the comments down below. I am doing these readings, but sometimes I'm like, how does this make sense for them? Because I don't really know an Aries off the top of my head right now. So if you do resonate with this, I'd love to hear your specific examples in life that really supports everybody, including myself. Don't forget to also give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, I'm excited. Taurus rising and sun. For you guys, this Leo full moon is happening in your 4th house. That means the sun is opposite it in your 10th house. What's more fascinating is the fact that this full moon is both squaring Uranus in your sign in your 1st house. So what does that mean for you? Well, first of all, I definitely think that you guys are likely to be acting a little bit more erratic, or desiring some kind of movement, some kind of change, some kind of freedom. Maybe you guys do something really suddenly or really unexpectedly, or maybe there is some shifts in your relationships that feels a little bit unexpected, or maybe you are the one presenting those shifts. Regardless, there's something here where you guys might be a little bit in this hasty energy, and I can really see that with the Knight of Wands in reverse. You guys might leave things unfinished. You might be a little bit all over the place. And so one of the pieces of advice here, I feel like, is to kind of come back to what brings you joy with this hummingbird card. And the hummingbird, it's interesting because they move very quickly. Their wings move super, super fast. And I believe that they have a really large heart, if I'm not mistaken. So, or like their heart has multiple valves or something. There's something unique about their heart. So there's something here about that, because this is a Leo full moon and Leo rules over the heart. So even though you guys might be moving a little bit fast and a little bit more like in a way that maybe not everybody can fully see and understand and comprehend, because hummingbirds are so quick, you can miss them if you blink. So there might be ways in which you're acting that others might not 100% be on board with or understand right now. But there's something about you knowing that you're coming from a place in your heart. And Uranus is good about that. Uranus is a planet of truth and awakening. So even though we can act very erratically, if you are coming from a heart-centered place, you can be accessing your personal truth about what is right for you. However, when I've seen this gone awry is when people misunderstand their own heart and their sense of restlessness, and they go into an extreme with it. So for example, if you're unhappy with your job, maybe you could just have a talk with your boss, or kind of think about a different solution instead of just immediately getting up and quitting that same day without having savings or a plan. So that's the kind of energy where we don't want to be the Nine of Wands in reverse, super hasty and impulsive, jumping into things, leaving things unfinished all over the place. We don't want that. So you do want to listen to your heart. You do want to make changes. You do want to maybe take people a little off guard. That's okay. But you don't want to do it in a way that is actually misaligned with you on a deep level. So really listen and tune into yourself right now. There's definitely something going on with relationships, because a lot of the cards I'm pulling are surrounding relationships. It's interesting though, because this is a full moon in your 4th house. So normally the 4th house, we think about family members, or we think about, roommates or our home. But the 4th house is also what makes us feel very emotionally safe and secure. And with this full moon squaring Uranus in the 1st, there could be truths revealed to you about where you feel like you are not maybe safe in a relationship or a certain dynamic or situation in your life, maybe where you don't feel as secure, or where you feel a little bit trapped and a little bit stuck and not emotionally aligned with something anymore, or someone anymore, I should say. It doesn't have to be a relationship, but there is so much coming out in regards to that I can't help but talk about it. So two of the cards I see here are the She Who Aches, solitude, silent withdrawal, and sadness, and love. So some of you guys might be feeling a number of ways. First of all, some of you guys might be feeling a little bit more alone if you are not in a relationship and you're wanting that. Maybe there's this feeling of like, I really want a partner, but I'm almost on the verge of like giving up on that because of how it's not moving forward for me. Or maybe some of you guys are in a relationship, but you feel alone, or you feel there's some type of painful situation or a comfortable situation going on in your dynamic with others. Yeah. I wonder if this has anything to do with Mars in your third squaring Chiron on the 12th. I wonder if somebody has been, saying something, or if there's been something happening on social media or in your friend groups or in your relationships and communication that has been upsetting to you. But there's just something here where it's like, I think something has thrown you off center and has upset you in regards to other people, like other people saying something, other people influencing you in some way. And Mars is also in the third, and it's trining Saturn in the 11th. And I've been talking about how I feel like we need to make amends or make peace with something or close the door on something so we feel resolved, so we feel clean around that area of our life. And again, Saturn's in your 11th house of relationships and friendships and community. So there might be important talks that you need to have in order to kind of clear the air with something. Regardless, with the Lovers and the Nine of Wands, I feel like this is a time where you guys really need to choose yourself. The Nine of Wands in reverse is about giving up on something. If you have been engaged in something that's been exhausting, that's been trying your patience, that has made you feel maybe less in love with yourself, or less aligned with yourself, or less safe, or less happy and content in your way, if it's been draining your energy, this might be a time in which you decide to shift the dynamic, walk away from something, say no to something. There's a feeling of like, I'm not going to engage in this anymore. And with the Queen of Swords following it, you're setting very clear boundaries and you're communicating about the issue. This isn't you coming from a very impulsive place with the Knight of Wands. It might feel impulsive, but it's been building. The Knight of Wands is impulsive in a way that is detrimental because maybe they don't communicate, maybe they just drop things as they are. But the Queen of Swords, they go full circle. They know how to have a hard conversation. They know how to set a boundary. They know how to make things clear. And I feel like you guys are coming into a phase of making some really important decisions around your relationships, or around something that you need to do to protect yourself on an emotional level. Get maybe unstuck in some area of your life that you maybe have felt a little bit trapped or unhappy in. And it's saying to disengage from it, walk away from it, or set a clear boundary, a clear role in this so that you don't have to suffer any longer. So yeah, I think that this could have to deal with your planetary ruler. Venus has moved into Aries. So there is something a little bit more self-focused when Venus is in Aries. Usually Taurus and Venus, it's about coming together, although Taurus is a lot more independent than Libra. But anyway, your planetary ruler Venus is a lot about companionship and getting along and not rocking the boat. But when it moves into Aries, you kind of take on a little bit more of an edge, and you're able to embody more of this kind of independence and even discipline in terms of holding your own and maybe separating from things that are not really working anymore. And sometimes Taurus, you can stay in things too long. So this might indicate that you're getting things moving again. You're making choices to free yourself, or maybe other people have been acting erratically and you're choosing to come into a more peaceful environment and kind of step away from that. And it doesn't mean that you have to have something major, like a major breakup. It could simply be the communication of something important here. But whatever it is, it's something that's going to bring you more authentic connection with yourself with this Lovers card, and with Leo being in your 4th house, being really connected to who you are, what your heart says, what your heart wants in this scenario, and not ignoring it for the sake of stability. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Taurus. If that resonates, I would love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and I see have Gemini rising and sun. This Leo full moon happening on the 12th of February is taking place in your 3rd house. What's interesting about this full moon is that it's making this really tight square to Uranus in your 12th house. The 12th house in medical astrology is associated with sleep. And I find it interesting that their first card was the Four of Swords in reverse, because upright, this card talks about rest and recovery and sleep. With it being in reverse, you are coming out of a phase of rest or out of a phase of sleep, or a phase where you're kind of like pondering things, or where things are on the back burner a little bit. This could also indicate that, especially with Uranus being a planet of disruption and change, that the sleep is actually disrupted and you're feeling a little bit more tired and burnt out. So it could be kind of a number of things. If you, for some of you, it could be that you're a little bit tired and you're not sleeping very well, and that you kind of have a lot going on and you're not resting and you're being quite busy. For some of you, you could be coming out of a phase where you're resting a lot, or you haven't been very busy, or you've been a little bit more introspective or whatever, and you're coming out of that. So regardless, you're coming into a phase where things are going to be starting to pick up a lot. And with this full moon in your third house of the mind, and then also the Page of Swords, this is a time when you're likely going to have some kind of ideas come to you right now. This could indicate some type of communication, so somebody randomly telling you something or reading something online, or you having an idea because of a conversation with a friend. There's something here where your mind is lighting up and you are coming into a phase of curiosity or awakening of some sort. Especially with that square to Uranus, we can have sudden downloads, sudden truths come to us. If you've been lacking clarity about a next step in your life in some type of fashion, this Page of Swords and this square to Uranus can indicate that this full moon is going to bring you some kind of breakthrough or clarity that can pave your way forward. So the Page of Swords here is likely an indication of some type of plan forming or some type of concept forming that is going to, again, pave the way for something significant in your future. With the Queen of Wands and Three of Wands, I feel like you guys are very much coming into a phase of being out there in the world. Again, just like I was mentioning, things being really busy. Both of these cards are about building up one's confidence and taking kind of these steps forward like a risk, essentially. So this could be that you guys are going to plan some type of next adventure, or you're planning to reach some type of larger role within your company or whatever in life. But there's something here where I feel like you guys are intentionally trying to cultivate more confidence through having the right ideas and by taking the right amount of risks, and also by actually moving and getting things going. So again, if you've been kind of in this pausing phase, or if you've had a lot on your plate and haven't been able to think about the future because you've been really burnt out, this full moon is going to give you the opportunity to not only think about the future and create a plan and create ideas, but it's going to give you that kind of genius spark to get unstuck from maybe a problem that has maybe been keeping you, again, overworked or really tired, or maybe you've been too bored, or whatever it is. There's something that you've maybe been a little bit stuck in or confused about, or uncertain about, and you maybe haven't had the capacity or the desire to fully sit down and plan this out and come up with the right solution. And this full moon is going to give that to you. You can see your advice is the spider. This is somebody who's weaving the web of their future. There is an intentionality. Each stroke of the web has its own purpose and is interconnected to the other parts. So right now you're going to be taking small steps that can indicate the larger plan and the risk that you will take. Maybe you're not taking it right now, but I can see you guys making some important moves, like a chess player on their board, to be strategic in their next step. And I can really see that with your planetary ruler Mercury so close to the sun in the 9th house. You guys are very much being granted this kind of overarching vision of how what you're doing now plays into something larger down the line, something that is going to, again, kind of elevate you in some way, or give you more somehow. There's also something going on here with money, because Mars is currently retrograding in your 2nd house of finances. It is squaring Chiron, in the 11th house. So some of you guys might have had some things come up that have been unexpected, or that have just been kind of coming up around money, maybe relationships and their impact on money, or maybe there are certain changes that have come up that again have cost you money. There's just something here with money that can get a little bit complicated. And with this, with Mars now trining Saturn in the 10th, I feel like you guys are creating some type of plan in order to save money or to be a little bit more like balanced in your approach. So this is going to look different for different people, but the Four of Pentacles is definitely a conservative way of looking at your money. So some of you guys might be thinking a little bit more frugally, and this could come from a place of wanting to make more so that you can have more to save. It doesn't just have to be about reducing and cutting back. However, there is some type of conservation here where you're thinking about the long term, about certain plans that you have, maybe saving more money for those plans, or making sure that you are covered so that you feel very secure moving forward. So there's something here where I feel like you guys are working on your relationship with money, or changing something about your money, or and again, with this Mars retrograde trine Saturn, I have been saying there's something about tying up a loose end and making sure it's like clean. So something around your finances and your material possessions where you're kind of like cleaning up all the loose ends with it. Maybe this is you going through your budget and making sure it reflects what you want it to reflect. But there's this feeling with the Justice card that things are going to turn out to be, they're going to balance out in the end. So you might not spend a lot right now, but then you'll spend more later, or you might earn a lot now and you're going to save some because maybe next month you're not going to earn as much. There's something here around really keeping in mind the long haul and having some padding for these kinds of like oscillations in finances. So another card that you guys have is the She Who Radiates, knowing, ambition, and confidence. So again, I feel like you guys, especially with the Queen of Wands, the Three of Wands, you're coming into a phase of being a little bit more sure of what you're doing or who you are or where you're going. And so it can make you feel passionate and excited, which is all of Leo, right? Leo is about creativity and the mind going and the ideas being cultivated and feeling really stoked about what you're moving towards. So I feel like that's definitely your energy, but also a piece of advice. The other advice that we have is a Cobra. There's two messages. This card is about teaching or having a teacher, and then also about waiting. So some of you guys, there's something here where I feel like, again, you're playing the long game. We did have the Three of Wands, Queen of Wands. So you are enacting some important, puzzle pieces right now, or chess pieces. You're moving them into strategic places, but there's also some energy here around having the long game and not needing to do it all right now. So this could be in terms of your money, like saving some money for the future, or this could be, you have certain ideas, the things that you want to put into motion, but you kind of feel it's not the right time right now, or maybe you take a little step right now and you go full force later. But there's something here around the timing of things and respecting the timing that feels best for you at this time. The other thing is about teaching or having a teacher. So some of you guys might decide to, have an idea around something else to study or to learn, or something that you want to teach. But regardless, any activation of the third, ninth house is very much about information, sharing information, learning, the mind, being curious. So any way that you can be a sponge right now and open to different perspectives and different ways of doing things will benefit you, because this full moon squares Uranus in the 12th. It's about getting out of maybe like a known way of doing things, or out of a rut, especially out of any self-sabotaging behavior, or, with this Four of Swords, again, if you've been very quiet, or if you've been really burnt out and you haven't had time to reflect, it's something about this where it's like we're getting out of that so we can actively engage with curiosity and more aliveness into our plan for the future and do things in a different way in order to cultivate the exact kind of spider web of our life that we desire. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Gemini. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Cancer, Rising, and Sun. For you guys, this Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your second house, and it's also, very importantly, making a square to Uranus in your 11th house. So what is going on for you guys? Well, first of all, a full moon in your second house can very much illustrate or illuminate, I should say, areas around your finances, your sense of security, your self-worth, things of that nature. But that's kind of like the most traditional point of view of that. Let's talk about some of the cards and we'll weave it into astrology to get a little bit more nuanced. So one of the things that I'm seeing with the first card, we have the Knight of Swords. This is a card around you guys kind of going against the grain, jumping headfirst into something, having an idea and acting on it, and really owning if this idea is different than what you've done before. And with this full moon squaring Uranus in the 11th, there is something here where it's either going to be like rebellious or alternative to the collective and like what society tends to do, to what your friends or your community around you tends to do, or it could be something different from what you had planned. And I can see that with this unicorn card. It's like really owning and living up your unique essence, as a unicorn is something that other people think is imaginary. Not to say that it's not, but you know, there's mythology around this. There is, you know, so many different civilizations talking about the unicorn. Not that I know a ton about unicorns, but there's a repeated storyline around them, right? So I don't know, there's something here where I feel like the way that you guys are meant to stand out and be different might not be understood by people. It might feel like outlandish or impossible. Oh, if you do that, like no one's going to accept that, or you're not going to succeed like that. That's not practical. This is a second house full moon, mind you, which is a lot about practicality. What makes sense? What will make me money in the real world? This unicorn card and the Knight of Swords, I feel like is telling you to kind of throw that out of the window, because with this with the square to Uranus in the 11th, it's trying to get you guys to recognize your specialness, your unique sauce, your unique quality that only you can truly see, you know, what it is from the beginning. Other people aren't going to see how successful something can be until you show them. So this could be going against the grain in any area of your life. It doesn't just have to be finances, but there's just something here where I feel like you guys are meant to be breaking from the norm, from the group. And I can really see that with the Three of Pentacles in reverse and Seven of Wands in reverse, where you guys may have before been working as a part of a team, or kind of, you know, let me join you, let me be a part of this thing, or follow this person's advice. I see you guys stepping out of that now and really owning your own space in this. And this could look like temporarily feeling like you are kind of admitting defeat in a way where you're like, yeah, you know, you're right about that, like, sure, whatever. And you kind of just like go off on your own. But secretly you go and you pursue the thing that maybe other people don't agree with or don't understand. So there's something here around, you know, not having to necessarily share everything with everybody or take the stand with everyone. But with the Three of Pentacles in reverse, it's like you're still breaking from this agreement or from the group think or from what you've planned and done before. You're breaking free from that, but maybe you're not necessarily advertising all of this. Maybe you're not stoking the fire right now or trying to instigate quite a bit right now. There's something here where it might seem like either you're not airing out these different things that you're going to be doing, or you might make a temporary compromise where you're doing your way and then society's way at the same time in order to function within society and still survive, for example. So let's just give an example. If you guys wanted to change jobs, maybe you don't have the finances to do that right now and you want to do something alternative or different, but you're not going to immediately make all of the money right away from that. So you need to build up an audience, or you need to build up, you know, clientele. And so what you do is you kind of operate within both worlds, within society where you're like hiding almost what you're doing on the side. And then at some point you can break free. Yeah, there's just something here around like playing the long game. And I see that for all of us with Mars retrograde making a trine to Saturn, which is in your 9th house. So Mars is retrograding in your first house. And there's something about that I've been mentioning with Mars trine Saturn where we need to kind of tie up the loose ends with something that's already happened or that is like carrying over from the past. And so I feel like maybe you guys are needing to kind of compromise or like play it cool just to like keep things kosher to again, until you can tie up that loose end with something and then you can move on to what you really feel is most authentic to you. I hope that's making sense. And I can see like part of your advice here is to really be centered with this she who calms, stillness, purity, quiet, and then now awareness and acceptance. I feel like this is you trying to like find a sense of peacefulness in the present moment and accepting where you are at, maybe in this bridge between two worlds. And Uranus isn't always good at that. Uranus can be extreme. Uranus can want to push back and rebel and outright leave something immediately or make its stance known right away. But there's something here where I feel like if you can play the game, you will accomplish a lot more. If you can find some sense of ease and peace in the current situation and accept the current timeline, you will gain a lot more out of this process than if you try to accelerate and make the immediate change now. And I can see here like a little bit of a complicated relationship with things because we have Ace of Cups, which is a new beginning for you that is going to feel emotionally uplifting. But then the Ten of Swords in reverse, which is like not fully wanting to leave something yet or being able to leave something yet. So you can see you're having the new beginning while this old thing is still going on. And so I feel like part of your advice is to kind of like, again, play the long game and be patient and stick it out. With this regeneration card, I feel like you are going to be going through a huge like emotional sloughing, like getting off all this dead old energy, because you're going to be able, even though you're still somewhat in an old situation or having to comply a little bit with something, I feel like your energy is going to be shifting now to focus on what is actually really important to you. And these are your creative ventures or whatever this example is talking about. And so with this full moon being in your second house, it's like your concentration and on the thing that you're excited about, the thing that you're passionate about, the thing that makes you feel alive and creative, that is going to give you this process of regeneration before you even fully leave that old situation. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, I feel like you guys are going through this really powerful metamorphosis and you're owning more of who you are and doing something a little bit more alternative, even if you have to temporarily play the game while you're making this necessary change or making these necessary decisions. So that is what I'm saying for your Cancer. If that makes sense for you, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Leo rising and sun. For you guys, this Leo full moon is happening on February 12th in your first house and your sign. So what is this going to bring for you, Leo? Well, I definitely think some light bulb moments or some breakthroughs and some progress in the area of your career, because this full moon is making a square to Uranus in your 10th house. I'm just going to give you a number of other indicators or of other events that could happen. You could have some kind of changes to your health, to parents or their health, to authority figures and your relationships with them, or your career goals and endeavors. Those are kind of common things that can happen with the full moon squaring Uranus in the 10th. But what I feel like is happening for you guys is having some kind of clarity and breakthrough moment with the Queen of Swords and King of Pentacles. This is somebody on their A game. This is somebody whose mind is active. Uranus brings the truth to a situation and gives us clarity and also solutions to problems that we have felt maybe a little bit stuck behind. And so if you guys have felt a little bit stagnant, or like with this Bear card, if you felt like you've been a little bit in a period of kind of contemplation or, you know, being a little bit more behind the scenes, this full moon is trying to get you out and get you going, have some kind of like energizing experience here that is going to make things active within your career. So if you need to have important conversations, make important decisions, sign important contracts, if you need to figure out how to make more money or become a better leader in a certain type of situation. This full moon is going to illustrate that for you. There is an unexpected quality to this full moon. So yeah, it's not the best time to sign a contract, to be honest, but if you do, then you do, and so be it. But it could have a little bit more of a volatility type of energy. Your card is a she who persists, perspective, defiant, and persistent. So there's something about what you're doing now that is meant to defy something. So this could be that you are kind of defying the odds with something. Like, for example, if you own a business and you're not meant to succeed in terms of like statistically, you know, it's less likely that you succeed. This is defying the odds. This could be you being in some type of leadership position or standing up for yourself, speaking your truth and holding your ground with something and kind of defying authority in some type of way. This could be you pushing back against governmental policies if you don't agree with what's been going on. This could be you taking some type of stand. But regardless of what it is, it's you kind of holding your own and persisting against maybe external influences or authority, especially because again, this is involving the 10th house. You guys also have the 3 of Pentacles upright and the High Priestess in reverse and 6 of Pentacles. So the 3 of Pentacles upright, High Priestess in reverse. The 3 of Pentacles to me indicates that you might be going through some type of phase of needing to collaborate or work with others. And this is super important because you do have Mars currently retrograding through your 12th house. Sorry, I'm trying to look at the chart and it's very hard to see and my eyesight's not that good. But yeah, Mars is retrograding through your 12th house and it's trining Jupiter in your 8th, or sorry, not Jupiter, Saturn in your 8th. So what I've been saying with this is needing to kind of tie up loose ends. So there could be something in regards to things with the High Priestess in reverse, some things that have been unaddressed or unspoken, especially when it comes to, you know, working together or people trusting one another or relying on one another or putting resources together and taking a certain risk together. If this applies to you, if that scenario applies to you, or even any just intimate relationship, there might be something that you need to kind of clear the air with in order to be able to work better together. So again, 3 of Pentacles emphasizes this kind of union and the coming together. The sun is in Aquarius in your 7th house. So there's something here around having more success together, but needing to make things very clear. So this could be forgiving something that has gone wrong in the past, or clearing up where there weren't very, you know, set boundaries or clear roles. Maybe this is you communicating something that you have kind of been hiding or haven't thought that was important enough to mention. There's something going on here where there is clarity and truth being revealed and all things coming to light. The High Priestess upright is about things being unseen. In reverse, it's about things being aired out. So I really feel like you guys are going to have some type of airing out of things in whatever regard that means. The cards end in the 6 of Pentacles, which is very much about this kind of equal collaboration, equal give and take, receiving as much as you give. So there's something here where you guys either might feel a little bit more generous, or you are meant to be coming into a different type of dynamic with people or in your relationships or in your work where you are respected more, or you're given a little bit more of a say or a little bit more of a stance. This is like boss ass bitch kind of energy with Queen of Swords, King of Pentacles. This is the leader. This is somebody who knows what they're talking about. So this is you entering maybe into some type of new beginning within your career or your teamwork or collaboration with others, where you're more respected and you're given the accolades that you deserve, as well as you are generous in giving that back to others. So is there anything else I want to mention? One other card that came out was this Deer card. You know, this talks about like the mother and being like intuitive and gentle. So there could be just something going on here where maybe a piece of advice is to be kind of gentle and compassionate with yourself and others. We do have Mars retrograding through Cancer, which talks about the mother. So there could be some things that come up in regards to like motherhood and your mother and your childhood and things of that nature that could be part of what you're needing to kind of resolve in terms of working with other people. Like there could be dynamics that you kind of had growing up that are somehow playing out now. So that's just something to keep in mind. That one didn't give me like a super strong message other than to just be gentle with yourself and to continue to be really persistent in terms of what you're doing right now. So that's super exciting, Leo. I kind of want to pull like, okay, I'm going to pull these two cards. I forgot I pulled these. So we have positivity, which actually has Leo on there, if you can see this symbol here. So positivity, and then we have wholeness. So it's interesting because anytime we have something going on with the sun, the 7th, we're coming into a time of greater wholeness through relationships, because the 7th house is the least integrated aspect of the self that other people bring to the equation. That and the 12th house. But the 7th house is the most relationship oriented. So we often attract people with things that we are missing. So this is a really good time for you to recognize what you bring to the table, but also what somebody else brings to the table that you are missing. So you guys can complement each other and come into a more whole, cohesive unit that can achieve more together. The other card that we have is positivity. And with this and the Deer card, I just feel like you're coming into a phase of needing to be like more optimistic about what's ahead and easier going on yourself. If you've been having a hard time, if you've been like less busy, less productive, less efficient, if you've been, again, with this Bear card, a little bit more behind the scenes, or, you know, what is it? The hibernation. If you've been in some type of hibernation in your life and you haven't really been reaching for more, or getting some type of success that you want, or getting the ball moving with something, I can see you guys needing to be easier on yourself about the timing with things, because everything happens the time that it should, and you are in a phase now of things picking up the pace and making necessary changes to your behavior, your goals, or your collaborations and your leadership skills in order for things to really pick up. And you just have to kind of look forward from that and be optimistic and gentle on yourself around everything from the past that has already happened. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Leo. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, up next we have Virgo rising and sun. This Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your 12th house, and it's squaring Uranus in your 9th. This is the most impactful part about this full moon, is a square to Uranus, which makes us a little bit more erratic, but also in a good way, where we are able to kind of make important decisions or see things a little bit more clearly, to understand what really matters and what changes we need to make in order to align with the most authentic desires that we have with a Leo full moon. I want to talk about, Leo in the 12th. I am a Virgo rising. I'm very familiar with this energy, but Leo is the sign of the performer. It's the most visible part of the most visible sign, in the sense that it's ruled by the sun, the most visible planet. So there's something here around my Virgos that can be quite, humble, and often maybe struggle with the visibility aspect of certain things, or really taking charge and taking leadership and being seen and being really admired and really respected, and very publicly on display, and having maybe your creative work also on display, performing for people, and this sense of like being witnessed in a kind of vulnerable state, where you are sharing your life's work or sharing things that you're really passionate about. So my Virgos can struggle with that. And I feel like part of this full moon, especially with this raccoon card coming out and the gazelle, is that there can be fear oftentimes around taking off the mask, and it can be easy to hide behind your screen, or to not share certain elements of yourself, or to not even put stuff out into light of day, or it can be easy to play yourself small, and out of fear, especially if you think you're a gazelle and you think that other people are a tiger or a lion, you might incorrectly think that you don't have what it takes, that this world is predatory, and that the predators are who come out on top, and you're not good enough, and you're not going to be able to be seen and admired for what you do right. And I feel like this full moon is going to really illuminate the toxic mentality that can bring into your life, and how that can continue to make you play small. And with this illuminating your 12th house, it's really showing you those those parts of yourself that are a little bit scared of the visibility, scared of taking a chance and being seen in certain ways. And your advice is she who listens, understand, witness, and compassion. So part of your advice is to have compassion and listen to and witness that part of yourself that has been maybe a little bit like reclusive or wanting to hold back or scared to announce something, scared to put something out, or scared to be proud of something that you've done, or again, be public or perform, whatever that is. So there's something here where it's like, allow yourself to have compassion and witness that part of the self that has those fears in order to make peace with that side of yourself. This full moon squares your Uranus in the ninth. So there's something about Uranus here that is going to help awaken and help you see beyond those fears. It can help you see the truth about what really matters to you. It can help you see what the universe wants for you on a divine level. The ninth house is extremely spiritual and divine in nature. And so there's something almost like predictive or forecasting about it, where I feel like you guys are able to see the thing that you really, really want. And I can see that here at the Nine of Cups, the Lovers, the Ten of Pentacles. There's something that's like really aligned with your nature that I feel like is right there on the tip of your tongue, that you guys can see it at the time of this full moon. You're shown the truth about what really feels aligned with you, what feels like a wish come true, what could bring you lasting substance and financial success into your life, what could make you feel like you're living out your most authentic energy in what you're doing or who you're with. So there's something here, it's like, you guys, I think you know what you want at this full moon. You know what you want, and it's really about, what are the fears that are stopping me from fully going out there and grabbing what I want and feeling like I deserve it, being proud, going out into the world in this public way and asking for what I want. And this full moon, again, is going to illustrate and help you break out of any kind of little mental traps that could have you feeling like you don't deserve it, or you don't want that, or you're scared of it, or whatever. And I can see with this productivity card that this card talks about your hard work paying off. So there is kind of this assurance from the universe that if you are willing to take the risk of being seen, that the efforts that you put into something will absolutely pay off. So keep that in mind. It will pay off. The other cards that we have are Seven of Swords in reverse, King of Wands, and then the Devil. So again, this is the same energy around coming clean, a new slate, coming clean with yourself, confessing something to yourself around the Devil card, the limiting the beliefs, the fears, the ways in which you keep yourself confined unnecessarily to, the demons in your mind of what could happen and all the bad things that it could be. And instead, stepping into the King of Wands, which is the natural born leader, the person who takes up space, the person who is unafraid and proud of who they are. So that's what I feel like is the major transformation happening for you guys at this time. You do have Mars retrograding in your 11th house, trining Saturn in your 7th. So there could also be some other message here around needing to tie up some loose ends, forgive, forget, clear the air, or repair certain elements of relationships. This doesn't just have to be about relationships. This could also be about, long-term goals and how other people play a role in that, or how a company that you work for plays a role in that. So maybe there's something here where you tie up loose ends with an old company that you used to work at, or with an old friend group. There's just something here around like, let's move on energetically. Let's forgive and forget and move on from those difficult experiences, either with a company or an entity or a group of friends or a single relationship, so that we can have really pure hearts and clean energy when we move forward, so that we can devote all of that to something that we're passionate about with this productivity card, put the energy into something that can definitely yield the results, and not waste it on keeping up issues from the past, or having that kind of as an open dialogue box in your mind, for example. Okay, let me just make sure that's all I want to say. Let me just pull one more advice card for you. One more advice card. So we have Light, she who brings light, light, serenity, beacon, she who dreams, escape, dream, and fantasy. So this is a time, again, where you know what you want. So dream about what you want, but from a place of like, this is going to happen. There is light at the end of this tunnel. I see the perspective. I see this I see this happening for me. I see the steps. I see how to get there. That's what a full moon squaring Uranus in the ninth can bring you. All of the plan or the ideation that can bring something like a dream or an imagination or vision into reality through a more practical lens. So this is having hope and positivity about it, because a lot of beautiful things are coming to you if you just believe. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Virgo. If that resonates, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and next we have Libra rising and sun. This Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your 11th house of friendships and future goals and community. So you guys, at this full moon, there is a time where we can usually have some type of revelation in regards to the area of life that it's unfolding in. So this could be having some type of revelation or some event happening in the area of your goals or your future dreams or your friendships that moves you in a specific way. What's interesting though about this full moon is that it's making a square to Uranus in Taurus in your 8th house. So there's something quite erratic about this full moon, and it does kind of bring up the potential to have a little bit of the release of maybe some baggage when it comes to, a history with your, again, friends or your goals. So for example, if you have had some things go down with other people, you may find that this comes up at this full moon in order for you to put it to rest. And I can see with the first two cards, with the Fool and the Hermit, you guys are on a journey to kind of like have a fresh start with someone or something in your life. And if there's something that you've always really wanted, but you have had maybe issues around getting it, or and it's created certain maybe trauma or issues in your life emotionally as a result of that, or if you've had intimacy issues with friends because of certain things that they've done, or other relationships in your life, I can see that this full moon could bring some of those things again to light. With the Hermit card, it's not to bring it to light to the purpose, to just bother you. But with the Hermit and the Fool, it's so that you can do some introspection and kind of clean the slate so that you can start fresh in some way in your life. Leo is about connecting to our heart, our passions, what makes us feel confident, what makes us inspired, what makes us feel close to those that we love. And if you have had something like a dream that you've been really passionate about, or a friend group that you've been wanting to feel connected to, and you haven't, if you had some disconnects, again, this full moon can illustrate why that's happening. And with the Fool can give you that, again, clean slate, that fresh start, so that you can change up anything that's necessary, or have any important conversation that you need to have, get things out in the open, or be truthful with yourself about what it is that you really need or really want or really think about something, so that you can reconnect more kind of to the heart of your vision or your relationship with someone. You guys, I also might, there's kind of a separate message, and this feels more work oriented. And I think this has to deal with the fact that, Mars is retrograding in Cancer, which is in your career sector. So it's been retrograding all of January, and most of February it will. And this is really about kind of reviewing the action steps that we've been taking, and the projects and the goals and things that we've been putting on our plate within our productive life or our external life, or, our goal oriented life or career. And so this is a time where we are definitely having that highlighted, because Mars retrograde is making a trine to Saturn, which is in your 6th house. Okay, so very work oriented. Sorry, I have my notes over here, but I'm also kind of blind without my glasses. So Mars retrograde is trining Saturn in your 6th, and it's definitely having you kind of reevaluate your schedule. Like, what have you been putting on your plate? Because I do think that there is probably some element here of things that are not sustainable, with the 2 of Pentacles and the 10 of Wands in reverse. There's just something in your life that I feel like you need to be thinking more about the long term of something. And I can definitely see that with the longevity card and the 6 of Pentacles. There's just something here where it's like, whatever you are doing right now, you need to make sure that you are gaining the most out of it for the time and energy you're putting into it. So for example, maybe there's something else you could do to get better results with less effort, or maybe you could be managing your time or your goals differently in order to feel like you are able to pace yourself and hold onto something long-term without burning out. Because the 10 of Wands in reverse does indicate the need to maybe delegate and take a little bit of a load off. And Mars retrograde is all about having us, again, reevaluate what we're working on, what we're putting energy into, because it's not always going to be sustainable long-term. And that trine to Saturn is having you look in the future. I also pulled 2 other cards. I feel like each of these describes the 2 different topics I've mentioned. We have the She Who Doubts, Fear, Wariness, and Trust. I think that this has to do with the relationship stuff that I've been talking about. If you've had some kind of issues with somebody where you've had some trust stuff going on, or if this is you in the pursuit of a goal, but you've had some maybe fear come up around it because of past failures or past issues around it, I could see that this comes up at this time for you to release any of that baggage and to learn how to trust yourself or trust the universe or trust your friend group. I can also see with the She Who Waits, patience, waiting, and determination. I almost feel like this is the universe kind of trying to tell you to maybe slow things down a little bit when it comes to your work life, and that there are certain things that you are meant to have, to accomplish, to be a part of, but it might take a little bit longer than you want, or you might need to work out some things in the meantime. And so with Mars retrograding your 10th, I feel like this is kind of saying, reevaluate your priorities, what you're working on, how you're spending your time, but then also have patience and kind of stay the course with something once you do commit to a specific path. Your planetary ruler has moved into Aries, so there is a little bit more of a focus now on relationships or cultivating a little bit more support from other people. So this 10 of Wands in reverse, speaking about delegation, I think makes a lot of sense for you guys. Your 2 advice cards are the Raccoon and the Fox. There's something about these cards that feels very strategic, and that was a word that came to mind. Almost like you're kind of going out into the world and you have a plan, or you have like this reminds me of the sun in the 5th house. You kind of have this like persona, like a performance identity almost. I've been watching a lot of videos about Chappell Roan, and she has this drag persona, for example, and her name is actually Kaylee, but she's taken on a new name and face and makeup and all that stuff. And that's what the raccoon is really about. There's almost like this protective layer that we have as a result of wearing a mask or a persona or like a performing identity. But there, how I see that could directly apply to you possibly, but how I see this is going about your options in life through, again, a lens of a lot more kind of strategy and having maybe these protective mechanisms in place to make sure that you are not openly vulnerable unnecessarily with the wrong people, or that you are not overextending yourself unnecessarily into projects or things that don't yield the most results. There's this feeling of like needing to have, again, a layer of like safety and kind of cushion around you so that you can, so that you can have the most protection. And this Fox card also speaks about having a stable kind of partnership. So this could also be leaning on a friend, leaning on a partner. And with Venus in your 7th house, this is very much highlighted right now, that other people are meant to play a bigger role in your life this month than usual. So yeah, I just feel like there's something about like being a shrewd business person, being very strategic and smart with your time and your energy, knowing when to show your cards or when to be vulnerable, knowing when to speak up or when to maybe back away, having some distance with certain people, maybe wearing a face and just kind of playing along, and at other times when to be, very direct, which the square to Uranus in the 8th is a lot more like truthful and direct. So regardless, you kind of know like what is the best way of going about something to make myself have the most easy life, the most comfortable life without unnecessary issues coming up. So I hope that makes sense, Libra. If that does, please let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. Also, if you want a reading from me, check me out at cosmiclightastrology.com, which I always link in my description down below. Okay, now bye. All right, it makes you have Scorpio rising and sun. this Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your 10th house of career. And this is a more impactful one for you because it's happening in an angular house. It's also squaring Uranus in your 7th house. So what can you expect from something like this? Well, okay, first message is I feel like you guys are kind of getting some type of, you're getting unstuck somehow when it comes to your career or your commitments that involve other people. So this could be, you working for an entity or something related to the people that you work with, or how relationships are impacting your career, or certain goals that you have and how other people are supporting that or not supporting that. Whatever the situation is for you, if you can kind of imagine what this relates to in your life when it comes to, how busy you are and what you're striving towards, and how, again, people influence that in your life. And this could be direct clientele, family support, your boss, people that you work with, things of that nature. So something around this is going to get unstuck. And so what this means is that if you've been kind of really exhausted, or if you've been maybe in the wrong industry, or if you have been putting up with BS from other people, or if you haven't been maybe moving forward in a good pace in the way that you should be moving forward within your career, or within your goals, I feel like things are going to shift into a gear that is going to feel more uplifting to you, and that you're going to be more positive about it, because this full moon is about connecting to our heart, what we're creative and passionate about, what feels right for us, what feels in alignment for us. And with this full moon squaring Uranus, there can be some things that people do unexpectedly, or some things that happen in our life that we are meant to kind of shake up our commitments with other people in order to get a little bit unstuck from this. So let me give you an example. If you've been working in the wrong industry, this could be you leaving your job and breaking the contract with that square to Uranus in the 7th. If you have been kind of moving forward with your career goals, but it's been really slow, maybe that square to Uranus in the 7th is you changing up the way that you ask for support or receive support in your relationships. This, again, it could just take on so many different forms, but there's something going on here where other people or you within relationships or within a company are going to do something to shift the energy, to do or say something unexpected, to change up the routine in some kind of way, for things to move in a way that feels like it's reaching more towards success rather than feeling weighed down or feeling stagnant or feeling, like exhausted by something. I can really see that with the 9 of Wands in reverse. You guys are giving up this energy of always needing to strive and strive. It's almost like there's something about other people in your life that are showing you that things can be easier. Maybe they do something to, I don't know, act as a support system, or other people just do something and you get so fed up and you're like, you know what, things don't have to be like this. So there's just something going on with that other people or an entity, could be talking about a business itself, are going to change so that you can have less stress and more alleviation. And with the World and the Wheel of Fortune, this is going to lead to actually greater success. It might not happen immediately. You could see some signs of it now, though, where you're starting to feel good about it. You're starting to feel more optimistic, or see how you're accomplishing more, or you feel like things are moving on a really good track. So there's just something here where it's you're coming into a next phase of your goals or your career. You're seeing maybe a different way of going about it, or you're seeing some type of breakthrough if you felt weighed down or stuck in some kind of area. And I feel like that's going to, again, make you feel really optimistic. With Mars, your planetary ruler, retrograde in the 9th house, it is a lot about you kind of reviewing your faith and your flow with life and your trust with life and your concepts and beliefs about how life functions. And Mars is currently, again, retrograde in the 9th, but it's also currently trining Saturn in the 5th. So I feel like part of what your kind of renewal on your perspective of life is trying to have you slow down a little bit, or come back into a phase of greater balance or greater healing, or more connected to inspiration and your heart with the Temperance and the Page of Cups, as well as the She Who unfolds, swath, embrace, and self-care. It just feels like you guys are meant to be checking more in with your kind of inner child on a day-to-day basis. This could look like doing less work. This could look like having more hobbies. With this trine to Saturn the 5th, this could look like you prioritizing certain relationships or creative ventures or taking things easier on yourself. Whatever this is, it feels like it's a time of letting go a little bit of that kind of inner tension or that striving energy or that hustle energy, and bringing you back to the basics of what makes me feel good as a human being rather than a human doing. So I feel like right now you are focusing on the things that are uplifting to you. You are retraining your mind to think about those things in particular. And your relationships or other people or businesses, again, can act as some kind of catalyst for this period of growth and different perspectives that is a lot more optimistic. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Scorpio. I hope that makes sense. If it does, let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at cosmiclightastrology.com, which I will link in my description box down below. And I hope you have a great day. Bye. All right, next we have Sagittarius rising and sun. This Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your 9th house, opposite the sun, obviously in the 3rd house, and making a square to Uranus in your 6th house. So what is this about? Well, having a full moon in the 9th is usually a time where we feel a little bit more enlightened in some way, where we're having an elevated perspective. And I can definitely see that in the cards. I feel like you guys are probably going through a phase right now where you're feeling a little bit vulnerable with the fish and the strength in reverse. There's something that you might feel is tenable in your life, something that you really want, something that you think is going to be really fulfilling for you, that you really desire to create for yourself. But with the fish and the strength in reverse, this is something that you might feel is in a precarious or tenable situation, again, vulnerable, where you feel that at any moment, something could come and take it away, or it could not happen, or something, could go wrong. With this fish, there's a worry here, kind of letting our thoughts sweep us away in the current and overthink things a little bit. And so part of this full moon is going to kind of air out some of those fears so that you can shift your perspective here with the Hangman. You guys might be focusing a little bit on the things that can go wrong, or on ways in which you feel ill-prepared or not good enough, or worried about, again, being vulnerable in some type of situation, or not feeling secure in some future desire. And this Hangman really wants you to open your perspective here. So if you have been kind of sucked into the viewpoint of being, giving a lot of credence to your thoughts, this is a really good time to elevate your perspective and see beyond those thoughts to maybe why you feel vulnerable, and kind of dig a little bit deeper there in order to create maybe a better, more reassuring perspective, because being worried about something isn't actually doing anything about it. I know it's easy to say that, but I feel like you're going to come out of something and get to the other side quite well. But I feel like some of you guys, again, might feel kind of like not prepared for something. With the 9 of Cups and the Page of Cups, and with this full moon squaring Uranus in the 6th, usually the 6th house is like where we're on top of it. We have our daily duties, our responsibilities. We hit the ground running. We are always on the move, and we're making sure everything is scheduled and on our to-do list, and we're being productive. And with Uranus here and this full moon squaring Uranus, there's a volatility here. It's almost like you don't know what to expect in your day-to-day life, or something happens within your work or within your life and it kind of throws things off and it throws you for a loop. Maybe something happens health-wise that throws you off, because the 6th house is also the house of health. But there's something here that throws off your day-to-day life and your routine, and you might feel like very ungrounded and anxious and vulnerable and worried. And again, the whole point of this, I think, is ultimately to get you to that higher perspective, and to kind of have a little bit more of this. You are Sag, so Sag is mutable sign, mutable fire. you guys are pretty good at adapting to things, which is good. Because what I feel like is you're being called to now is to not worry so much about having everything together. With the Nine of Cups and Page of Cups, this feels like somebody who really wants something, but who's at the beginning of it, or it hasn't passed like a critical period where it feels very stable in your life, very secure. And again, that's why you could feel uncertain at this point in time. Maybe let's say you did lose a job or something changed with your work. Maybe this is you starting a new job and you're not certain about it, and you feel like, vulnerable in this position. You're like, I don't know how good I'm going to be. This is just an example. It could be anything. It could, again, be related to health or whatever. But it's something that you really want and you feel uncertain about your position with it or how far along you are with it. And this Page of Cups, I feel like, is trying to reassure you that it's okay to be at the beginning of something. It's okay to not have the foundation completely there yet, and to not be ready entirely for something, to fly by the seat of your pants, because life is always changing, life is always adapting, and you are an adaptable, progress-oriented sign. So I don't think you have to worry about, being caught off guard with something that you can't handle. I think you're going to show yourself, or you'll see at this time, how resilient you are, how strong you are. And if you're just listening to your heart around how to move through certain circumstances in your life, you will realize how well you adapt and how well you make the right choices, basically. To further explain this, I pulled the She Who Changes, transformation, change, and enchantment. So again, this is a time where things could be really shifting in your life, in your day-to-day life. And I feel like what the universe wants you to focus on, what God wants you to focus on, is prioritizing your own self-care with this card. Making sure that you feel good on your day-to-day basis. That's what a Leo full moon is about. It's about our heart, how we feel, how creative and inspired we feel, or how depleted we feel, and making sure that we rebuild ourselves. If something, wow, what is happening? If something is changing in your life, and you need to calm things down. Okay, so you also have Mars retrograding through your 8th house, trining Saturn in the 4th. So there could definitely be some stuff that comes up in regards to having some type of plan together around your home, your family, your children, if that relates to you. Or this could also be around processing certain things from the past that have already happened in regards to those areas of your life. So this is a time in which, again, you want to feel like you know where you're going and what you're doing. But Mars retrograde is a time where we are supposed to be at the drawing board and reflecting and asking questions and being curious, rather than being certain around where we're going and what we're doing. So part of this period is about exploring different ways to kind of prepare, I guess, or different ways, I guess, to align your home or your family life with what brings you security, and not go in with a set plan of this is what it should look like, or this is how it should be done. One thing I think, though, that needs to happen is some type of cleaning out with this cleansing card. And this makes sense with Mars retrograde through your 8th. There is a process here of needing to let something go. So letting go old emotions around things that have already happened. If you've carrying some kind of trauma with you, some kind of fear with you because of certain past instances, this is a time to clean house and emotionally process that. Maybe see a therapist for this, or talk to family about it. The cleansing card could literally indicate cleansing your home, getting rid of stuff, and making sure that the things that you have, you really value, because there's just this energy here around uplifting yourself and making sure that you are taken care of. And if you have a lot of unnecessary stuff, you could be taking care of all that stuff instead of yourself. So whatever this is, it's really about, again, cleaning up shop. And I feel like this is in a metaphorical and a physical sense, where you're kind of doing an inventory of what is maybe pressing on your mind emotionally, or what is creating a little bit of disruption or upset within the home or within your family dynamics, and making sure that all those loose ends are cleared up, tied away, that things are forgiven, things are let go of, things are processed, things are literally thrown away if you need to, in order to come forward with a clean slate at this time. Because again, with so much going on in your life and with you feeling vulnerable, the last thing that you need are these kinds of fears lingering, or issues with, or arguments with family that you never really sorted out, or an unclean house, a dirty house. So I think you understand what I'm trying to say. This is a time to focus on what you want and be okay with the changes and adaptations going on in your day-to-day life, and kind of shift your perspective to focus on how well you're doing or how safe you are, instead of focusing on what makes you feel vulnerable and, worried about something. So that's what I'm seeing for you, Sagittarius. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, next we have Capricorn rising and sun. This Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your 8th house, and it's squaring Uranus in your 5th house. So what is this going to bring for you, my Capricorns? Well, I'm seeing some really good cards here, which is really nice to see, because sometimes a full moon in the 8th house can feel a little bit stressful, because the 8th house is a house of often crisis and these kind of deeper seated emotions that can feel oftentimes a little bit scary or heavy, especially because of their relationship with the past. However, Leo is about becoming more connected to our hearts, feeling more alive and aligned with what we really, really desire, especially because this full moon squares Uranus again in your 5th. And Uranus in the 5th is very much about that. It's about authentic self-expression, and it's also about feeling like you are finally having some kind of like gains, because the 5th and 11th house they're houses of increase. They are where things go to become better, to increase in wealth, or to find more joy or prosperity. And so with this full moon in the 8th squaring Uranus in the 5th, it almost feels like the things that have been a crisis for you, the things that have been a hardship, are somehow being illuminated, changed, shifted, or broken free from as a result of this kind of joyous Uranus in the 5th house. So this could look like you guys meeting somebody new to go date them, or to have some type of creative hobby that really helps open you up emotionally, or you could find some kind of path that you're really interested in, or you could get some kind of recognition. I definitely see that recognition piece in the cards, which I'll talk about in a second. You could finally get some kind of recognition or praise for some of the things that you've done well. So regardless of what it is, there's something about this really joyous energy of the 5th house that is going to help kind of melt the cold and maybe callous aspects of the heart that can derive from a lot of fear and difficult circumstances of the past. And I really see you guys doing that. I feel like part of what your message here is, with the Ace of Cups and King of Swords in reverse, is to not really lean into your logical mind as much, but to lean into your heart. There's going to be something that lights your heart up, again, on an emotional level, on an instinctual and intuitive level, that might not even totally make sense in the logical mind. With the dragonfly, part of your advice here is to not trust the mind, not trust the stories that it can come up with, or lean too much into the facts and the logic and trying to disprove why something is invaluable or something doesn't make sense. This is not about that. This is about feeling your way through something. And Leo, again, being the sign that rules over the heart in the physical sense as well as the, energetic sense, I guess. This is about leaning into that all of the way and trusting it totally and completely. So you guys are meant to be kind of ignoring the logical mind to some degree. And what this is going to do is it's going to lead you to something that makes you feel successful, that makes you feel proud, that makes you feel more in love with your position in life. There's something here where I feel like the more that you pursue it, the more visibility you're going to get, the more joy you're going to get, the more you're going to feel like you are accomplishing something or getting unstuck and breaking free out of something. With this Tranquility card, it literally does speak around breakthrough. So again, I feel like if you guys have felt really bogged down in some, negative emotions or some fear, maybe you've been feeling issues in relationships, eighth house can often represent that. Or maybe you've been feeling stressed out from certain money issues or debt and things of that nature. This is telling you to follow your heart around necessary changes that you can make or things that you can flow with if they're happening to you, that allow you to embark on a journey of greater feeling of, ease in those areas of your life and optimism. So the logical mind might give you the reasons why something doesn't make sense, but you need to override that at this time. You guys currently have Mars retrograding in your 7th house, and it's trining Saturn in your 3rd house. So wherever we have Mars retrograding, we need to tie up some loose ends and reevaluate that area of our life. So for you, this is happening in the area of relationships. So there might be some important conversations that you need to have to resolve issues of the past. Maybe you need to let certain things go or make up your mind about certain people in your life, or just make moves in that regard. Maybe your way of pursuing relationships or going about relationships, or the way that you talk to people, communicate with people, maybe there's something that doesn't really work with that right now. And at this full moon, I'm hoping that you guys can have some clarity on the adjustments that you can make in order to feel like this area of your life has more kind of solidness for the future and that it isn't an area of stress. But ultimately, again, I feel like you are meant to lean into your heart and not totally your mind, because I feel like there's something that you really want right now that the universe is saying you can have that. Again, Uranus is the house of joy. So with this full moon squaring Uranus, it's giving you some kind of breakthrough to bring you more joy, to grant you some kind of wish. And I literally see that here with this card, that she who grants wishes. So there's something here that's trying to come through for you at this full moon, or as a result of the actions that you take now, it will come later. So if you don't listen to your heart, if you just stick with the logic, if you just try to be super practical, you might find that you miss out on some kind of amazing opportunity. So please, again, listen to your heart around what's coming through right now. I also see another message for you guys with the Knight of Pentacles in reverse. I feel like there's something that you've been very curmudgeon a word, so something like that. There's a word very similar to that. If you know what I'm talking about, write it down in the comments. There's something you've been maybe a little bit stubborn about, I always do it this way and this is how I've always done it and I'm going to work the same way every day. The Knight of Pentacles is a very slow energy, and it's like, okay, the only way to success is you go to college for 4 years, you graduate, you get this type of degree, you go into this kind of job experience, you intern, blah, blah, blah. And it's like a very slow, expected kind of way of doing things. And there's something here around this full moon that is telling you that you can embrace a unique perspective on how to go about achieving financial stability. Because, the sun is in the 2nd house right now, and the moon in the 8th. These are both financial houses. So that's a big focus for you right now. And you might feel a little bit concentrated on that or worried about that. And you want to follow all the rules and do the things that you've always done and be consistent. There's this focus on I just got to be consistent and work harder. And I just feel like the universe is telling you with this square to Uranus in the 5th, there's a more fun way of doing this. There's a way to actually elevate and to move forward leaps and bounds without having to go through every single step and be super consistent every step of the way. There's something where you can have a little bit more wiggle room. You can have a little bit more experimentation, a little bit more chaos in your life that can actually generate greater wealth. And I see that with the 4 of Pentacles and the 10 of Pentacles. Part of your message here is to experiment, is to not keep doing the same type of work or the same kind of routine with things and try to take things super slow and by the book. It's saying that you actually might do better by experimenting, but also trying to save money at the same time. With this 4 of Pentacles, this is somebody who is holding on to their possessions. So, I guess this is going to be dependent on the person, but if you guys have been spending more frivolously, this is saying that instead of trying to just work really hard and be consistent and everything and keep making money, but then you spend it, this is saying that actually let's be more experimental with what we do, but be more cautious with how we spend in order to end in a financial success with the 10 of Pentacles. Pentacles. I don't know why that sounded really weird. I just said that right now. So that's one message. If you have been really cautious and super conservative with your money to the point where you've been a little bit stuck because of it, where you haven't taken the leap to invest in something significant that could produce more for you long term. This message is the alternate, where you might want to think more clearly and listen to your heart a little bit more about investing in something that could have a really big return at the end of it. So ultimately, I think it's about doing things your own way with the unicorn card. I don't want you guys to fall in line with the status quo. A full moon in Leo squaring Uranus is, what does your heart tell you? And very likely it's going to tell you something that differs from the people around you or from what's commonly accepted by society. So your goal right now is to listen to yourself and not listen to the chatter of the outside world, or your worries, or your very, very practical, logical side, because you don't want to override the beauty and the magic that can come for you right now, that can ultimately grant you this wish that you really desire. Even if it's not exactly right now, this is something that is going to lead you there. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Capricorn. If that resonates, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at cosmiccodeastrology.com, which I always link in my description box down below. Bye. All right, next we have Aquarius rising and sun. This Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your 7th house of relationships, and it's making a square to Uranus in your 4th house. So what does this bring for you, my beautiful Aquarius? Well, first of all, I want to say that Leo is a heart-centered sign, and it's very much about listening to your own guidance system. And that is something that Aquarius, if it's your rising sign, it may be a journey for you throughout your life to learn how to fully tap into that. It's my theory that we are always really developing our rising signs, and then they're somewhat embodied, but not totally. If you're an Aquarius sun, this could indicate that it's a time for you to step up more into your Aquarius energy and embrace your own authenticity, embrace your unique desires, because I do think it could force you to come out of your comfort zone with this square to Uranus in the 4th house. It could cause some disruption within relationships with the full moon in the 7th house of relationships. It could ask you to listen to yourself despite the fears and the insecurities that come along with making a certain choice that could feel like a risk, or that could disrupt the status quo or the tranquility and security of your day-to-day life and relationships. Or it could simply be a way to better express yourself and bring more of yourself online and out into the world. But I really do feel like with the Knight of Cups, with the Knight of Wands in reverse and the King of Cups, I really feel like you guys are coming from a phase of being a little bit insecure. The Knight of Wands is usually representing somebody who goes after something, who says yes, they jump into something head first. They're not second guessing themselves. It's the fastest moving sign or card in the tarot. So there's something about this where, with this being in reverse, where you guys have been kind of pumping the brakes. Instead of moving forward with things with a lot of conviction, things that you're interested about, I feel like maybe you've been giving too much credence to what will this person say, or how will this affect my relationship or my family or my sense of security, my stable foundation. How is that going to disrupt things? I don't want to do that because I don't want to take certain chances and I don't want to feel uncomfortable. And what's happening during this full moon is I feel like you guys are developing a lot of emotional conviction. With the Death card, I feel like you're having some kind of emotional transformation where you're realizing how important it is to really listen to your own intuition and to your heart, and to kind of ignore maybe that more insecure or lacking confidence aspect of the Knight of Wands, and you're mobilizing yourself more here to listen to your instincts. And again, you might be willing to break some kind of tradition with the Hierophant in reverse. Maybe you have a commitment with somebody that you're breaking. Maybe you're moving towns and you're the first one in your family to do that. Maybe there is something that you've just always done a certain way, or that other people expect of you, or there's some community element that influences you to adhere to a role or a tradition or a certain element of your life. And this Hierophant in reverse is saying, no, you're breaking free from that to listen and follow your heart and your happiness. Because something about that place of living, or that relationship, or that day-to-day life with whatever you're doing is not ultimately leading to fulfillment. There's something a little off. There's something that I think has, I think there's something that either can be, there's two different ways. I think for some of you, you're maybe trapped in a situation that feels unhealthy or like it's limiting you in some way. And then other people, I think that there's some kind of creative gift with the Oyster card. There's some type of, career adventure or relationship that you want to have or place that you want to move. Like there's some type of exciting next step or innate gift that you want to express out into the world that you've been shy and preventing yourself from doing. Regardless of what the ultimate outcome is that you're desiring, there is this focus here on allowing yourself to really lean into your intuition and emotions, do what makes you happy, break from convention, and put yourself first and put yourself out there in some kind of way that might feel like a risk. Your advice card is She Who Questions. Or actually, I don't think this was your advice, but the next one is. So part of the storyline here is She Who Questions, Curiosity, Destiny, and Search. Part of what's going on at this time is you guys are in a phase of self-discovery, self-exploration. And this could, again, lead you to leave your safety zone, your home, your comfort zone, your relationships, your commitments, your job. It could not force you, it could ask you, or it could force you to get out into the world and to ask questions about who am I? What do I really want? What's out there for me? What if I gave this, artistic endeavor my all? Or what if I took the leap and entered into this new relationship or left my old relationship? What if I made this change in my life? And it doesn't have to be so big all the time. But if it's aspecting personal plans, it will be bigger. But this is a time of again, self-exploration and searching, like, what am I made of and what do I want? And the only way to do that is to take a chance in your life. Your advice card is She Who Forgives, Remorse, Guilt, and Forgiveness. So it's going to look different for your situation, but part of your advice is to forgive if this involves somebody else. If somebody, for example, in your family or in your relationships is acting really erratically and they're maybe kind of throwing you off a little bit, this is your time to, again, choose yourself and your own happiness at this full moon and make the necessary changes that you need to make, but also forgive this person or this past event so that you're not carrying that forward with you in this new beginning for yourself. So this could also be speaking to guilt. Like if you make some kind of change, you might feel guilty leaving this person or making this change in your day-to-day life. You might feel bad about it. But this card is telling you in a way to not feel guilt if you can help it, because you're just following your heart and doing what's best for you. I also asked Spirit, just for your group, what is like the overarching energy of this whole full moon for you guys? And I got the Wheel of Fortune. So there's something very positive about things turning in your favor. If you take these chances, if you break the mold, if you make these changes, I think that you will find that even if life forces you into these changes, even if it disrupts your life and it's not your choice, regardless, whatever happens, I think you will find that it actually moves you into a much more uplifting and optimistic and growth-oriented space. The Wheel of Fortune, it has a very karmic nature to it. So past karma will come to the people who have wronged you, or you will find that you have some kind of acceleration or things start to become better or increase in some type of way as a result of all of this kind of built up energy that you're finally acting on and unleashing in your life right now. You guys also have Mars retrograde in the 6th house, trining Saturn in your 2nd house. So wherever Mars trine Saturn is about tying up some loose ends, because Mars retrograde is reflective on the past. And with the trine to Saturn, it's also kind of like, worry, what's been going on? What do I need to make sure is stable? Reflecting on the past and what we want in the future, and again, tying up loose ends. For you, this is happening in your work area, your health area, your money area. So there might be something that you need to figure out in terms of your practical kind of day-to-day work and financial life, or your health and your kind of stability life, in order for you to feel like, okay, I can take this leap forward. I can make this change because I have a nest egg, or I have some kind of security backup, or I have a plan for my money so that I'm not going out there and taking some kind of leap to be an artist for the first time, but and quitting my job, but then I actually like don't have any savings. So we want to make sure we have that kind of loose end tied up before we go out and take these chances, or simultaneously as we're doing it. So that is what I see for you, Aquarius. If that resonates, please let me know down below. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up and subscribe and share with your friends. And if you want a reading from me, check me out at cosmicclarityastrology.com, which I will link in my description box down below. And I hope you have a beautiful day. Bye. All right, and last but not least, we have Pisces rising and sun. This Leo full moon happening on February 12th is taking place in your 6th house, and it's making a square to Uranus in your 3rd house. So what does this mean for you? Well, I feel like there's something that you guys are going to be having some breakthrough with in regards to your concept of something, or your idea around something, your plan for something. Maybe you could have a really important conversation with somebody, or you kind of watch something on the internet, or you're kind of messing around your journaling and you have a breakthrough idea. And I can see that with this clarity card. There's just something that's like getting moving, and it's starting off with a clear vision and conviction about where you're going. The sun is currently in your 12th house, and as a very spiritual sign, Pisces, this illuminates the sector of your spiritual life and your dreams, as well as your visions and kind of intuitive hits. So I think that you've been kind of feeling something, maybe brewing or on the horizon, and maybe you haven't put it in words or really concretized something or really made a decision around something. And this full moon is going to give you that opportunity to do that. With it being in the 6th house, this is a very practical house, a work-oriented house, a productive house. So it's not just that you're having an idea, it's that the idea is like the breakthrough for then what you're going to go and implement in your work life, what you're going to go sit down and create and pump out into the world. And I feel like whatever you are making right now is going to get you visibility with the 6 of Wands and the Chariot. I think it's going to be something that you make very quickly, or that you do very quickly. This realization is going to help facilitate your work life or your health or your routine. But again, I feel like there's some type of creative project, or there's some kind of idea that you have that you're going to implement that is going to enhance your work life or your productivity or just your day-to-day life. And it's going to cause you, again, with the 6 of Wands, to have more kind of importance or recognition, or something that is going to create a level of influence. And I think that it might not come right away per se, but with the North Node moving into your sign, or it has moved into your sign, Pisces, you're coming into a phase of being under the magnifying glass, and the universe is, and the collective is a lot more aware of you and your energy, and you have a lot that you're meant to offer the world right now. You have a specific message. You have something that you're meant to share. You have something that you're meant to impact the world through. And the 6 of Wands to me is indicating that there is going to be a notoriety that comes as a result of you clarifying what this purpose is, this message is, or what you're meant to be doing right now. And again, it's going to move very fast. With the Chariot card, it's going to feel very aligned and purposeful. Things are going to shift kind of on their own, and elements of your life are going to be very dynamic right now, especially when it comes to conversations and relationships and travel and movement and ideas and learning. All these things are going to be very dynamic. You might have things happening to you in these areas, people saying random stuff, or things changing within your curriculum, or having, again, ideas randomly. But it's meant to be dynamic to create the change and the breakthrough so that you can get to work, basically. So you can create something or make something that has some kind of message or make some kind of impact, even if it's just to your personal life. But it can ultimately ripple out because of the way that, you know, we are all individuals, but we're a part of a tapestry woven together. So even if it's something just for you, it is going to be something that improves your life and then spills out and affects positively the life of others around you. I also feel like you guys are becoming a little bit more aware of what you want to stop and what you want to start. Mars is currently retrograding in your 5th house, and it's making a trine to Saturn in the 1st. And I've been talking about how I feel like we're meant to wrap up some kind of area of our life. We're meant to tie up loose ends. We're meant to forgive and forget, or move past something, or get clear about something, and make sure that we're not carrying baggage forward or uncertainty forward with us. And with Mars retrograding the 5th, this has a lot to do with that Leo energy, which is where the full moon is. And it's a lot about, like, what do I really feel passionate about? What am I aligned with? What makes me feel most authentic and in my own essence? And with this trine to Saturn the first, it's really having you think about that long term. Like, do I want to be known for this? Do I feel like I have enough skill in this for this to be a long-term thing for me? Does this feel nuanced enough to represent my unique personality? Do I want to commit to this avenue, or do I want to go down this avenue? Do I want to have this hobby or go on this date? It could be really practical stuff or larger visions. But regardless of what it is, I think you're clarifying what you want to start and what you want to stop with the Page of Cups and Four of Cups. The Four of Cups is somebody who's saying, no, I'm not going to say yes to that opportunity. I'm not going to go down that path because I'm clear around what my goals are and what my priorities are. And I have more than one of them with the Two of Pentacles. You are juggling more than one job or more than one, again, priority in your life right now. And so you're going to have to turn some things down to be able to really give those multiple things or those two things your all. And with the Page of Cups, I think that you're going to, again, start something new, or you're going to make progress on something that you're haven't had an idea about kind of sitting there for a while. So in order to do that, you kind of have to say no to something or cut something out or create a little bit more spaciousness or rest in your life in order to be able to juggle these different facets of your life without dropping any of the balls that are important to you. So yeah, that's super clear here. With this full moon being in your sixth house, again, I feel like this could indicate some changes in kind of like how your routine goes or your life on a day-to-day basis goes when it comes to your work or your health. And so really listen to yourself around these ideas that come through now, because they will support the necessary changes. One of the messages here for advice for you is the Oyster and the Gazelle. These are two cards that represent fear. Somebody who clams up, somebody who maybe gets scared to like say yes to something or to promote a specific message that is different than what other people think, or to do something against the grain, or to shake things up within their work life or their day-to-day life that again could somehow ruffle some feathers on a social context. So your message here is to not fall into the trap of these fears. Uranus is a planet of rebellion. With it squaring the full moon in Leo, it wants you to embody what your heart desires, even if that means rebelling against what others say or what is so on social media or socially acceptable. And that's, I think, also kind of reiterates this card here. She who resists, fearless, justified, and resistant. I think you're meant to be fearless in your pursuit of something and to resist the pushback from other people, resist a temptation to adjust your perspective because other person, said something else, or they want to guide you in a certain way that doesn't really feel right. I think that you guys are meant to be very firm in your stance and clear on exactly what you want, and not, again, let the outside noise sway you at all. So that is what I'm seeing for you, Pisces. If that makes sense, I'd love to hear from you in the comments down below. If you want a reading from me, check me out at cosmicclarityastrology.com, which I always link in my description box. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share with your friends, and have a beautiful day. Bye.